we go. 10 rounds of boxing for the WBC Continental America's Super Welterweight Championship. Introducing to you first on my right, the challenger fighting out of the red corner, wearing gold trunks with purple trim, joining us from his hometown of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at the Super Welterweight limit of 154 pounds even. His record stands at 21 wins, 7 losses, 1 no contest, with 13 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hard-hitting former world title challenger, introducing King Gabriel Rosado. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trunks with red and white trim, hailing from Houston, Texas. He weighed in at a ready 153 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign to the ring with a record of 22 wins, no losses, 11 wins coming by way of knockout. He is ranked the number 5 world contender by the IBF and WBO. Please welcome the undefeated and defending WBC Continental America's Super Welterweight champion, Jermell the Iron Man Charlo. And once again, a referee in charge, now to give instructions, Malik Waleed.
Okay, fellas, you both have been given the rules. I'm expecting good, clean boxing. When I say break, stop punching, take a full step back. Remember, protect yourselves at all times. Touch them up.
With Gabriel Rosado.
Having some lace issues before the fight even starting.
Right, quickly, we're ready.
Good.
So Charlo and Rosado getting set. Rosado's laces getting taped up there. And the bell to begin round 1. And again, Rosado telling us that he was going to take the fight to Charlo immediately, and that's exactly what he does. Cornering Charlo momentarily, but Charlo showing off that good footwork early, Paul.
Yeah, Charlo's going to have that good footwork. It's funny because Ronnie Shields told us yesterday in the fighter meeting, Rosado just thinks he's going to walk us down because he's the bigger man, and for the smaller man, he's sadly mistaken. So, in a way, they're both playing to each other because Rosado said he would start fast, and Charlo's team kind of expected it.
Rosado is the aggressor early on in the opening minute. Charlo missing with that lead left hook. There's a right hand behind the guard, and there's a double left hand by Charlo. Charlo
and Ronnie Shields think that because Rosado's been fighting at 160, the quickness of Charlo will be more exaggerated because the 160-pounders in the last 2 fights weren't quick enough. We'll see if that's the case.
Both of them have recorded 2 first round stoppage wins. And again, going back to the fighter meeting, Charlo telling us that he was going to vanquish Rosado in the 3rd round. And Rosado again telling us that he was going to come out like the proverbial bull in the china shop and try to get things done in a hurry.
Charlo's trying to establish a little bit of a jab. He's usually very busy with the jab. Thus far, we haven't seen it a lot.
Double jab and the right hand follow-up by Charlo as they clinch.
Get out of there. No. Listen to the
Malik
man.
Waleed calls for the break.
When Charlo is in rhythm, he's using the jab a lot. So Rosado wants to kind of keep him backing up and kind of hesitating on using that jab.
Charlo normally throws that punch almost 60% of the time, the jab. It has not been, he's used it, but not a lot yet.
He's trying to establish it.
It's been his bread and butter throughout his career, coming into this fight undefeated at 22-0 with 11 wins inside the distance as we head to the final 60 seconds of the first frame. Rosado going to the body, counter left hook lands by Charlo. Left uppercut connects by Rosado. So after a quick start by Rosado, both beginning to settle in. Rosado still the aggressor, though, here in round 1.
Fellas. Good job.
As we have half a minute remaining in the opening round. Jermell Charlo in the blue with red and white. Gabriel Rosado in the gold with purple.
For Rosado's stalking, he doesn't tend to use a snapping jab. He kind of wants to paw out there to set up power. As Charlo lands a body shot. Beautiful left hook delivered by Charlo, followed by Rosado's right hand. But you know, you'd like to see him maybe snap out that jab here and there, kind of to put him on the back foot.
Time! Good job.
The bell and round 2. Gabriel Rosado in 2012 had the best year of his career at this weight class, going 3-0 with stoppage wins over the likes of Jesus Soto Caras and Sekou Powell. But then, big opportunity, big payday presented itself at the beginning of 2013, facing Gennady Golovkin for his 160-pound strap, stopped by cuts, then gave a very good accounting of himself against the previously undefeated J. Leon Love, losing a controversial split decision, which was then ruled a no decision after the positive drug test by Love. And then in his last fight in October, again, a cut stoppage loss to Peter Quillen as he once again vied for a 160-pound title. Meanwhile, Charlo hoping to take this big step, moving one step closer to a possible championship opportunity, following in the footsteps of his brother, who, as we mentioned, will get his shot against Carlos Molina March 8th.
Rosado is starting to try and establish at least something of a jab, and you know, Paulie talked about that. He's not known as a jabber, but it will help him get inside.
And it'll also help him set his range, because at times he's attacking with so much pressure that he's actually smothering himself. Charlo steps in and Rosado smothers his own offense, so he can establish the distance if he uses his own jab, just like Charlo's trying to. Charlo.
Charlo's left hook has actually been a very good weapon so far in this fight. Surprising, it's not the one you would choose for him to land as a power punch.
Good combination by Rosado as he had Charlo on the ropes momentarily. Charlo again circling away, now coming back with a combination of his own, the majority of which was blocked by Rosado. Talk about making things difficult for media and fans alike. As we mentioned, Jermell Charlo used to sport dreads. Now with the haircut looks even more like his identical twin brother. When you talk about twins in boxing success, the only twins to have won titles were Thailand's Khao Sai and Khao Kor Galaxy in the 80s. They reigned simultaneously. We'll have to wait and see if the Charlo twins are able to do the same thing. Charlo went tough here as he lands a lead left hook to the side of Rosado's head. Nice stiff jab by Charlo, but back comes Rosado, walking him down again.
Charlo doing some good sharpshooting as Rosado attacks. He's going to see that he's not going to be able to deter Rosado right away as he's used to some of the other opponents. So we'll see how mentally strong Jermell is, because this is what happens with the step up. Usually, what usually deters opponents may not, but it doesn't mean you're not winning rounds. So Charlo needs to continue to do this despite the pressure Rosado keeps bringing.
Final 10 seconds as Gabriel Rosado continues to be the stalker, continues to be the aggressor, but Charlo so far hanging tough, keeping him at bay despite being on the ropes. Time! Once again, Steve Farhood and Brian Custer calling the action on Showtime Extreme, and welcome to Mr. Custer to the Showtime Sports family as we begin round 3.
You know, you mentioned that, of course, Jermell's brother is going to fight for the title. Ronnie Shields also trains Erslandy Lara, and he told us that he hopes that he can have 3 154-pound champions at the same time. It would be pretty remarkable.
Counter left hook. Next by Charlo. Jab by Rosado, follows up with a chopping right hand. Charlo pops up the jab that was blocked by the guard of Rosado. Despite the fact that they both claimed they were going to come out uber aggressively, it's been a good fight, but again, there's a difference between reckless abandon, Paulie, and smart pressure, intelligent pressure. Both these guys very well schooled in the art of boxing.
Absolutely, this is high-level boxing, and both these guys are at this level for a reason. They don't just take their chances recklessly. There's times you take chances in a fight where you pick your spots.
Bobbing and weaving and still managing to connect both Charlo and Rosado, going toe-to-toe in the center of the ring. Midway through round 3 here at the DC Armory in the nation's capital of Washington.
Now, Rosado is cutting the distance a bit, but Charlo is doing good counterpunching in this fight so far.
Keep it clean, keep it clean. Break, fellas. Come on, step back, take a step back. Take a step back.
Rosado is making some progress, but Charlo's still boxing very effective.
No surprise that Charlo's main weapon remains that stiff jab.
You made a good point out. You know, Charlo's going to continue to try to sharpshoot, but it's not going to necessarily deter Rosado. So Charlo has to have the mental fortitude to continue to do what he's doing well.
And already some redness around that left eye, which has really proven to be the Achilles heel for Gabriel Rosado, especially in the year 2013 when he suffered nasty cuts against both Golovkin and Quillen. And with Charlo's jab, no surprise that he's going to try to exploit that scar tissue out.
It's a big issue for him, and the Charlo people really felt like that would be something that opened up. Of course, the Quillen fight stopped because of the cut over that eye.
Less than 30 seconds remaining in the 3rd round. Rosado continues to walk down Charlo, continues to use that jab as his defensive tool now along the ropes. Ready to escape as he's cornered by Rosado, attacking the body with his right hand.
Watch your heads.
And that's what I think Rosado needs to do more of. Work the body, but he's having a hard time hitting Charlo in the head.
Nice right hand by Charlo, counter right by Rosado. Charlo misses with a swinging right. So we've mentioned the eye problems that Rosado has faced, especially in 2013.
Probably the worst judged fight I've seen in years.
Yeah, it was a very competitive fight.
Yeah,
in all of our
much closer than that.
That's saying something, courtesy of the Hall of Famer Al Bernstein, as we begin round 4 here in Washington, D.C. Rosado fishing for the jab. Charlo setting up, jabbing the body, and then the left hook upstairs connects.
That was one of Charlo's. That was his best round in the fight. According to Joe Stats, he landed 27 of 75 punches, while Rosado landed only 5 of 57. So Charlo is off to a very fine start in this fight.
Rosado has that left hand, well, had it down low, now picks it up and pumps the jab out 3 times.
Talk about the problems that Rosado has. That Charlo jab is not going to help him. You know, there's a saying in boxing, you jab with a jabber, you don't hook with a hooker. Rosado needs to snap out that jab a little bit more, just like he did there to start that combination.
It will help him come in better.
Yeah, and it'll help try to eliminate a little bit of Charlo's jabs. If he just pulls with it and Charlo snaps out that jab, he'll have the upper hand from the outside every time.
Bobbing and weaving is Charlo. Knee left uppercut, right hand combination by Charlo. Rosado with the straight right.
See, Rosado wants to get inside so he can do some good work in there. The problem is he's got to negotiate his way inside the right way.
Keep him up, keep him up.
Behind a solid jab so that he's not going to eat any leather on the way in. That eye cannot withstand too much leather. It's going to open up.
Minute and a half remaining in the 4th round. Counter left by Charlo. There's a nice 1-2 combination between Rosado's guard.
A moment ago, Rosado landed a very nice right hand and a hook. And I think that's the first time he got Charlo's attention in this fight with his power. We'll see if it pays any dividends as this round continues.
Both of them at almost 6 feet tall for the 154-pound weight class. Again, Rosado moving up to 160, but coming back down to 154, where he says he has unfinished business. Meanwhile, Charlo continues to pick him apart with his punches. Less than a minute left in the 4th.
A lot of times when a veteran like Rosado takes on a young up-and-comer like Charlo, the plan is to keep the pressure on so that maybe the young man will come undone later in the fight. Thus far, Rosado's pressure, although he's coming forward, he's losing the rounds. He may be banking on maybe having success later on and wearing Charlo out, but Charlo remaining very calm under fire and winning these rounds.
Final 30 seconds of the 4th round. The right hand sneaks through the guard for Rosado. Feinting. Upper body movement by Rosado. Charlo very composed though. Again at 23, there's a nice stiff lead left hand by Charlo. Sticks the jab. Very cool under fire. Rosado getting busy, but Charlo again just very composed, resetting. Another good round for the up-and-coming 23-year-old out of the Plex Gym in Houston, Texas. And now we'll
make him uncomfortable. Put hands on him, put the leather on him, put punches on him. Even if you're not landing clean, it'll make him uncomfortable. The problem is Rosado has to get his way inside without eating so many punches.
Interesting that King Gabriel Rosado's trainer, Billy Briscoe, a throwback, very much influenced by the old school trainers out of Philadelphia. They're using ice packs in the corner instead of the end swell. I'm wondering, a little old school mentality there.
He, of course, was trained by Wes Moon.
Keep it clean, keep it clean.
One of the great boxing trainers of all time. He's from Philadelphia.
I'm not a doctor or an expert. I assume making the blood cold may clot it a little bit or maybe keep it from running as smoothly.
You could play one on TV, though, Paul. There's a lead left hook to the body by Charlo.
You know, this is the start that Jermell Charlo hoped for in this fight. He's boxed well, his defense has been superb, and he's countered well. And there's evidence of everything I just said.
And you talk about mental strength. Charlo maintaining the composure despite all the pressure from Rosado. And Rosado not coming undone. He's believing in the pressure. He's believing in the game plan, and he's going to stick to it. You know, we're only in round 5 out of 10. You know, maybe he believes that as he continues to put pressure on, maybe it'll pay dividends later on.
While Charlo isn't thought of as much of a power puncher, he has recorded one-punch knockouts against Dennis Douglin on Show Extreme and Chris Chapman. And again, coming off a stoppage win in his last fight as Rosado now goes to work, but again gets picked off with that lead left hook, countered by Charlo.
We'll see now, as we see round by round, the punch is landed according to show stats, and you can see that, and this is why you look at the numbers, not in total, but by round, because it's clear that Charlo is doing well by each round, and now...
And the blood now beginning to trickle and flow from the left eye, which has been the bane of Gabriel Rosado's boxing existence as we head into the final 60 seconds of the 5th round. And you can best believe that Charlo's going to try to target that left eye as this fight goes into the second half of the 10-round
But you know what that may do? It might make Gabe Rosado even more determined to attack with abandon, and he now knows he's got to get something done quickly.
This is the hard luck about Rosado. You know, he could care less about the blood. He's not one of those guys that stops fighting or changes the game plan because of the blood. It's what he's got to worry about is the corner stopping him, the doctor in the corner stopping him. Because Gabriel Rosado would fight with the blood, no problem.
Yes.
30 seconds left in the 5th round. They're at close quarters. Left uppercut by Rosado has Charlo on the ropes. Charlo using the guard and then his footwork to give it away, get back to real estate that he needs to work, although Rosado again lands the right uppercut. 15 seconds left in the 5th frame. So, the first half of this 10-round, 154-pound affair is in the books as Rosado gets tagged with that left hook.
It certainly could have been. And then later in the round, Jermell Charlo showing us the combination punching that he has in flashes in this fight. And from a counter-punching standpoint, there's the counter hook that has been so good for him and punctuated that sequence with the right hand. You know, Charlo said to us that Rosado's aggression could be his undoing, that he would attack and absorb a lot of punches because of it and make mistakes. To some degree, that's happened.
We begin the second half of this 10-round tilt between Jermell Ironman Charlo, who is sporting the blue with red and white trunks. His opponent, King Gabriel Rosado, who is in the gold with purple trunks. And then between rounds, chief ringside physician Dr. Richard Strudwich examined the cut around Gabriel Rosado's left eye, allowing him to continue.
Rosado undaunted, continuing to put the pressure. Again, he's having trouble negotiating the distance, though. Even when he gets close, he's able to put leather on Charlo, but he's not at the distance he would like. He's got to jab his way in so that he can freeze Charlo, and then when he lets go of the power shots, they can land with some effect. Charlo's smothering his offense even when Rosado does get inside.
All right, let's take a look at the unofficial Showtime scoring at the midway point of the fight.
Yeah, clearly our unofficial scoring is an indication. Paulie's given one round to Rosado, and we have not, and Steve Farhood and I, and clearly it's a so far lopsided win for Jermell Charlo. At least that's the way we see it unofficially.
I had a 10-10 in round 1.
Oh, you had a draw, sorry. Of course.
Midway through round
was never my best subject.
Oh. And interrupting people is my best subject. I apologize, Al.
That's okay.
Just past the midway point of the 6th round. Right hand behind the guard of Rosado. Rosado trying to use his head movement, trying to reset, penetrate Charlo's defense. There, Charlo bobbing and weaving and then delivering a left hand to the body.
See, that's why that moment right there, you would like to see Rosado snap that jab out. Instead, he kind of stuck out the left hand and kind of hopped in. He's trying to get close without negotiating distance the right way. He's got to get some snap on that jab.
Good 1-2 combination by Charlo, again utilizing his footwork. Had a long, distinguished amateur career, started boxing at age 8. Meanwhile, Rosado, a limited amateur career. He came to the sport late at the age of 18 from the rough streets of North Philly, which produced many boxing luminaries, including the late great Smoke and Joe Frazier.
Right here is a moment where somebody could take advantage. There's a lull in the action. Who's going to beat first? Who's going to take advantage? And Rosado waited too long there, and Charlo got off with the jab. Rosado is starting to hesitate with that lead hand because he's not snapping it. There's times where you do paw with it, but you got to mix it up. You got to mix some snapping jabs in there.
This is the 4th straight undefeated opponent that Rosado has faced. 2 of them middleweight world champions, so he's had a tough road in recent fights. He has faced tough opposition, but again, desperate for a win in these fights.
And he is once again in tough here against the undefeated 23-year-old Jermell Charlo. And while he is a blood and guts, round 7 underway here at the DC Armory in Washington. Mauro Ranallo along with Al Bernstein, Paulie Malignaggi, Steve Farhood, Jim Gray, Brian Kenny, and our entire Showtime Sports crew beginning the first edition of Showtime Championship Boxing following the best year in Showtime Championship Boxing history, hoping for more here. And a great start is now Charlo attacking the body and lands that jab upstairs.
What's remarkable about this is Charlo is deciding to stand and be a little more stationary, land power punches with Rosado. So far, it's working, but he might have to be careful about doing that too much.
See, Rosado is mentally in such a mode where he's got to lead, he's got to pressure, he's got to lead, he's got to pressure. He would just calm down just a little bit and see what Charlo's doing. He may be able to land a sharp counter on his way inside. Charlo's he's using the same jab each time. It's the same speed. If you can start to get a timing on it if Charlo doesn't start to change the speed on that. But of course, Rosado has to recognize that.
Rosado walking down Charlo, but Charlo moving side to side despite being hemmed in the corner. Rosado not pulling the trigger. There he does and misses with the right hand.
Charlo's doing a good job of smothering some of that offense from Rosado as well. When he finally does get trapped in the corner, he does a good job of stepping in and smothering. And that's easier to do when the other guy is not snapping that jab and keeping you at the proper distance for the rest of his offense.
We've been informed by the truck that referee Malik Waleed did in fact rule the cut as a result of a punch, so the referee missed it just like we did until we saw the replay, so more bad luck for Gabriel Rosado.
And that means if this fight would be stopped because it's a cut, Rosado would lose by technical knockout.
Nice combination there, connects on the face of Rosado by Charlo, again going upstairs with that lead left hand. Rosado with the straight right hand backing Charlo up, again into the corner. Cuffs him with the left.
Ronnie Shields said before this fight he wanted to see Charlo be a little bit more aggressive, and that has happened in this fight. Yes, he's boxed, yes, he's moved and used defense, but he has sat down on many occasions with a bunch of punches.
And a lot of times he's been first. He's been a smart boxer here. He's been first a lot of times, even though Rosado's bringing the pressure. And when he's not been first, he's been able to smother Rosado pretty well most of the time. Because he just did there after coming under with that right hand.
Rosado just had his knees buckled by that shot from Charlo. Rosado's been down 5 times in his career. Charlo has never been down or cut in a fight. 20 seconds left in the 7th round. Jab, there's a counter right by Rosado over the top. 15 seconds left in the round. Charlo now all on the ropes, and Rosado peppering them as we go to the 8th round, and the referee that Gabriel Rosado's eye is okay. We just saw Adrian Broner. He is going to be joining our own Brian Kenny after this fight to talk about his future.
The perception is that Gabe Rosado would be much busier in this fight But in truth, he's only thrown a few more punches, 4 more punches coming into this round than Charlo has. And of course, Charlo's been much more accurate.
And that's a credit to the sharpshooting Charlo's
Yes.
done. A lot of times, even when you pressure somebody who's that good of a sharpshooter, you become hesitant. And that's a credit to how sharp Charlo's been throughout the fight.
Paulie, you're the fighter on this broadcast team. You've never lied to the announcers during the fighter meeting, saying what you were going to do in a fight, right?
Nah.
Rosado.
Well, he's never lied to us on a telecast. That's for sure.
Rosado trying to walk down Charlo, who again very comfortable though on his back foot. There he gets tagged with the jab. Charlo moving side to side, utilizing his footwork.
Again, here's another wall. Who's going to be first?
Usually it's Charlo.
I mean, those are little moments in fights where the advantage could change if you just do something a little extra. And each time it's been Charlo in those moments. It's a lot of times it's Rosado with hesitation to get off the punches. He lands a good right hand on the way out.
Right hand to the jaw by Rosado.
Power punches, which we would have thought would be a closer call in this fight, has not been. Charlo using the, as you see those numbers, using the left hook, right hand, has been much more dominant pretty much every round with the power punches. So it's not just him using the jab. And a lot of those were body punches.
The crimson mask beginning to envelop the face of Gabriel Rosado once again. A right hand over the top, as you mentioned, Paulie. Double jab stuck by Charlo. Right uppercut by Rosado.
Well, landed a couple of extra good shots this round. I don't know if it's one of them around, but good shot from Charlo there too.
Again, they are now going at each other at the same time, under a minute remaining in the 8th round. Three-punch combination finishing off with a left hook to the side of the head by Jermell Charlo.
Rosado's been so close to landing some big left hooks. He got one right-handed earlier. He's just missed by inches with a couple of those really good left hooks.
Left uppercut by Rosado, which Charlo absorbed. 30 seconds left in the 8th round. Charlo again behind that jab. Backing up from the ropes. Rosado coming in, but just smothering him. And there he attacking the body now. Rosado beginning to batter away before Charlo going upstairs with a left hook. There's a lead right hand by Rosado. Another right hand over the top. A third right by Rosado.
This is what Bernie Briscoe wanted Rosado to do. Touch him up inside. Put hands on him.
And now Rosado chasing down Charlo. Rosado's best flurry of the fight, although he gets tagged with that left hook. Good round.
When Rosado was landing, he was also shoving and bodying Jermell Charlo back. That way, it was preventing Charlo from escaping. You gotta, it's not, putting pressure is not just punching. A lot of times it's also being physical and putting your body on the guy and making him uncomfortable. Kind of like Maidana did to Brony.
An ultimate round of this 154-pound tilt, and it may just be the heel in me, guys, but it's all about Richard Sherman and the Legion of Boom when it comes to the Super Bowl. And speaking of boom, I'm sure Rosado would like to land a booming shot here against Charlo as he has him in the corner, although Charlo doing a good job of countering and keeping him at bay.
Didn't you ever hear of Peyton Manning? You know, he's been a quarterback for a while.
Oh, he's a fantastic player.
Okay.
Well, one man could not win the game. There's a double left hook by Rosado, cuffing behind the guard of Charlo, who continues to move his feet.
You know, we're in a situation here now where unofficially we feel this way, but I think it's pretty obvious. Gabe Rosado needs knockdowns or a knockout to win this fight. It's just imperative for him right now.
And as we mentioned earlier, Charlo has never been down in his career. Here's the jab. Left uppercut by Rosado. Left hook by Charlo, who again, it's off the ropes.
Charlo was able to escape there, spinning off to the side. And Rosado's got to keep him there, even by physically using his body to push him off back onto the ropes.
Halfway through round 9, Paulie, Charlo's done a great job of actually boxing off his back foot.
Keep it clean, keep it clean. Okay, break, take a step back. Take a step back. Come on,
A good boxer should be able to box off the
take a
back
step
foot,
back.
especially a guy with a jab as good as Charlo. And you know, he's used his jab effectively. At times you'd like to see him use it a little more, but it's been very effective when he's used it.
Break. No punching, no punching.
It's rare that you face your toughest opponent and you almost completely dominate a fight. And so far, that is what Charlo has done. That's impressive.
Well, there's a reason he, along with his twin brother, are considered, well, they're the youngest and maybe the brightest contenders at 154 pounds.
That's a good point. Bright is even in the ring. He's fought such a smart fight, intelligent fight. He's a very talented kid, well-schooled, but smart in there too, and a lot of athleticism.
Rosado going to the body with a couple of left hands with 30 seconds left in this 9th round. Rosado lead left hook. Both miss with left hooks and they clinch.
No punch.
Final 20 seconds of the round.
Rosado being even more urgent than he was before.
Breathing laboriously, taking those deep breaths as Rosado continues to walk down Charlo, utilizing his defensive acumen, bobbing and weaving, avoiding those shots. Missing with that right hand was King Gabe Rosado as we go to round 10.
Good work.
The 10th and final round of this 154-pound contest. The two-touch gloves in the center of the ring. Jermell Charlo undefeated against King Gabriel Rosado, who was the recipient of a motivational speech from his trainer, Billy Briscoe. And, you know, you look at what Rosado did in the year 2013, moving up to 160 pounds. One of the reasons why all three of his opponents, they succeeded, although the fight with Love, of course, was turned to a no contest, was they found ways to limit his high-volume attack and were able to penetrate his defense. And so far, Charlo been able to do the same thing.
Yeah, a lot of times it's been sharpshooting, a lot of times it's been smothering on Rosado's offense. Early on in the round, you saw Charlo stepping in every time Rosado tried to work and smothering.
One of the really intelligent things that Charlo told us before this fight was, I know I'm going to end up with my back against the ropes at some point in this fight, and he has, but I'll fight well off the ropes, and he has done that. Now they're both going at it in the center of the ring.
2 minutes left in the fight. Left hook by Charlo connects. Jab by Rosado. Misses with the sweeping right hand over the top. As Charlo again
Keep it clean.
his defense.
Break. Get out of
Fading
there.
that punch. Minute 45 now left in the 10th and final round.
Rosado, I think, has made the mistake of trying to throw a lot of left hooks to the head instead of starting with the body and doubling that hook.
There's an overhand right by Rosado that tags at Charlo, but he comes forward, lands a left hook to the head. So get in close there now, throwing a lot of power shots at each other.
Good 10th round. Fun to watch.
That left hand was caught by Rosado's arm.
Determination on Rosado. He knows he's behind in this fight. He's got to get the stoppage, and despite the cut, he's coming forward looking for that.
Always a determined, always a rugged game. A lot of heart has been compared favorably to the late Arturo Gadias, but we mentioned at the top of the telecast,
Take a step back.
no matter how much heart, no matter how competitive Paulie he is, eventually you do have to record a W, and here against Jermell Charlo, he has been in tough, and with 40 seconds left, may need a Hail Mary to record a win in this fight.
I'll tell you, you got to give Charlo credit, though. It is very tough to make Gabe Rosado look like this. Jermell Charlo has fought a very intelligent, smart, talented guy. He's a talented guy. He's
Work clean, work out of there.
And he's put it all together.
At just 23 years old.
He's put it all together.
Work out,
The talent,
hands free.
he's well-schooled, intelligent decision-making in the ring, especially at certain moments. Good hook by Rosado.
Final 10 seconds as we head towards the finish line. A terrific performance by up-and-coming 154-pounder Jermell Charlo, who has solidified his status as a contender in the junior middleweight division here tonight.
After 10 rounds of action, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Tammy Jenkins sees the bout 97-93. Steve Rado scores it 99-91. And Wayne Smith scores the bout 100-90. All three in favor of the winner. And still undefeated, the WBC Continental America Super Welterweight Champion, Jermell Iron Man Charlo.